Welcome to Your Spiritual Besties podcast. I'm Lauren Leduc.
And I'm Rashida McCoy. We're here to laugh, cry, learn, and connect with you.
We discuss anything and everything from our everyday lives to the magical, mystical, and woo-woo.
So take a deep breath, grab a cup of tea,
and set an intention to receive, because you deserve it, bestie.
I am coming from a pretty great weekend, but a little tired. And that's okay, but I'm still feeling okay.
Yeah. I feel okay. I feel a little out of alignment from being kind of out of the routines that really support me right now. And so this week I've been getting back in, so things are feeling just a little bit more stable for me. But, when I'm in situations that are just outside of the routine, traveling, being sick, whatever, a lot of things have piled up in the last few weeks. I just realized how much the quote unquote non-negotiables, the routines, the time to connect really support my mental, physical, and emotional health. And when I don't have them, I start to spiral a little bit. So I'm just happy to be aware of that, and right now to have the time and space to kind of shift gears and get back on track. And I don't know, that's what's up with me.
Yeah, I feel that so much. You know that June is the busiest month of my life right now. And I have these I leave, I come back, I can get back into my routine, and then I leave again, and then I come back, and it's always you're always playing catch up in a way.
Mm-hmm.
I think it takes a solid 2 weeks to find your footing back once you've been away. So I will be ready for when July comes. Just be home, to have my morning routine again, to just be. But it's good. I think it's nice to leave and do what it is we want to do, but also have that home base to come back to.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I'm glad you're home and we have this time to connect before you take off again. And today we are doing an energy reading. So I'm really excited to do this with you again. And we have our friend Robin on today. And hey, Robin.
Hey, Robin.
Robin, would you just take a moment to introduce yourself? Who are you? What do you do? And what are you seeking support for today?
Hi, I'm Robin Gowan. I'm a breathwork anxiety coach. And my voice, I was with Rashida on the weekend. We were at a retreat and screamed a lot, sang a lot. So trying to get my throat chakra back going. I am a mindset and breathwork coach. I used to work in the corporate world, and I started getting overwhelmed and panicked and burned out. And I decided to join DCI and get my coaching certificate. So just getting going with that, focusing more on the breath work. That was my guidance this weekend. Just helping those and supporting those who've been through it just like me. And then I got in at 1 a.m. So what you guys can support. I wrote down some things, but honestly, what's coming up when we went and got grounded was just support for what can I enhance confidence, and then anything that might come up with digestion. Digestion's really sticking through, when we went grounded.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that we'll be able to provide help for that today. And I know I spent some time in meditation to see what came through, and Rashida too, and we're always excited to see what the other person found. I would love to ask Robin, what would be your ideal outcome for this session today?
I'm honestly really open, and I really enjoy doing stuff like this. So just spending time with you guys, hearing what comes up for you, because hearing a separate perspective on what you're connecting to, I feel like there's always something I can learn. So really just being open and receiving. So
Okay,
that's what I'm taking out of this.
great.
Awesome.
All right, Rashida, do you want to start?
Yeah. Did you start in any particular order?
Yeah, I went crown down.
Okay, me too today. All right. Awesome. So, Robin, when I tap into your energy, I bring you to my place of nature, and it's usually along like a riverbank. And whenever I call forth an energy, I look beyond the bank to the other side. And when I looked out for you, like you are very supported. I didn't see like individual faces or anything like that, but you have such a solid team behind you. So I hope you know that going forward, how supported you are. So I looked into your crown first, and what I saw was a very open and like the area actually like looked like a physical like a physical crown to me. You were receiving downloads, and I you had a fairy spirit guide with you with this particular reading,
Cool.
which is really cool. I hadn't had one like that before, and like I was trying to figure out like, okay, great, she's open. Like, what is this telling me? I wasn't getting any sensations or any feelings. But what came through is that this too is your gift. And so I'm assuming or I'm feeling that this means like to really like trust in what comes through. Don't second guess. Just know that you are receiving directly. You have a direct connection, and to trust in that because this is your gift. This is part of who you are, and to lean in and be in that. So, yeah, that's what came through for your crown. Hi, Gemma. That's what came through for your crown. And yeah, I'd love to know like, it wasn't a lot of information, but I wonder if you have any significance with this particular message.
Absolutely do. Yeah. I have second guessed myself with everything. Sorry, that throat chakra has
Mhm.
really got put through the ringer this weekend. Yes, that absolutely resonates. It took me years to accept that I was an empath because I would constantly second guess my intuition and what was coming through. Um, and even up until this weekend, I still find myself doing that. The insecurities and stuff that I've had since childhood, they run deep. And so then I'm constantly like, uh, am I making this up or am I overlooking things? And I do feel like my intuition and what I'm getting is coming in a lot stronger, especially like you and I had a conversation. Um, but yeah, the trust thing is something I'm continually working on.
Yes. This being a simple message, this too is your gift. Not everyone has this as strong as I see it for you in receiving. So really like lean into that trust because this is like you. This is a part of you. This is your gift from source. And you were so connected to just know that this isn't wrong, right? And then just imagine like, I don't know how much more you could serve because I know you're one of service by like trusting in what source is giving you. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
And there's times where I have like, because my crown is so open and even in human design, it's so open, I feel like I get so much information and then some, it's hard to process everything. So even just articulating it out is something that I'm continually working on. And then just not all like, am I just having a wild, because you get programmed as a kid that you have a wild imagination. And so getting that unprogram of no, that's just who I am. That's natural. And just believing in that. So I definitely appreciate that and 100% resonates with me.
Amazing.
I was wondering, because so usually I see a lot of visuals. I mean, there are different ways the information comes through. And today I got a couple visuals, but mostly it was like just downloads coming through. So I was wondering, Robin, if you have like a strong sense of claircognizance of like just knowing. There are different ways to access the intuition. One of them is just knowing.
Hmm. Yeah, sometimes I just know things and then other times I don't. So like it's something that I'm strengthening.
Hmm.
Um, I had a conversation with a friend on my drive back that it's something that he told me a big secret, like it was a huge weightlifting. He was worried about me judging him. And I've known the entire time his secret. I just was waiting for him to tell me. And I was like, do you feel better now? And it's just like situations like that, that it's just like an intuitive knowing. Or when I worked in a bank where someone was telling me this drawn out story, and it was a pretty good story, but I was like, I know this guy's lying. So I don't know why he's telling me all this. And it's just situations like that that I'm like, I know. And then I just know certain things. Like when I was little, I saw stars and I was like, oh, those are angels looking over. And so now I tell my niece that.
Mm.
And so, but then, you get the societal fit in and it kind of makes it a little harder. But I do feel like the knowing stuff has been coming in a lot easier for me than it has in the past.
Okay, well, that's really interesting. I didn't really think about that until Rashida started doing her reading because I was like, oh, I wonder if that's from you, like that it's coming through in this way. Well, I'll go ahead and start with. No, hold on, Jim. I'll go ahead and start with your inner goddess. So that's who I access first, and then she helps me through the reading. So I never know what's going to come through. So it's always kind of fun to see. And for you, I saw a witch, which is the first time I've seen that actually for an inner goddess. Kind of a dark witch, not a bad, not like evil, but just like dark in color, like dark robes. And she had two cat familiars to her right. So I don't know if there's any significance there, but it's like you have two little helpers with you in your magic. And she was in the forest and she was particularly adept at herbs and potions. And she's this perfect blend of light and dark. And I don't necessarily mean like good and evil. I just mean like she knows the shadows and doesn't run from them. She's a healer and she wields her magic with power. And I can't read this other word that I wrote, but sometimes I give them like a little gift. And I gave her a crystal ball, and she was very pleased with that. So I think that speaks to the intuitive abilities. So that's her, and she helped me through this reading. And we went to your crown first. And what I saw was like, I don't know if I just have like a Wizard of Oz theme going on today or what, but like a tornado over the head, like a whirling tornado over the crown. It was like you're very connected and you're able to draw spirit into you. But the tornado is there due to the lack of trust. It's like you feel like you need to constantly be gathering more and more information, more and more like outside knowledge, I guess I'll say. And to like, calm the skies a little bit where you'd still be open and receiving, but it maybe would feel less intense in your mind, like maybe less whirling of the mind, would be let me see what it says. Uh, Trust, embodiment, and integration. So it's all about like taking what you know already, and you know a lot, not only from this lifetime, but from many, many lifetimes, and really embodying and integrating that. So, meaning like practicing it in your everyday, and like really trusting that right now you do have everything that you need and there's really nothing outside of you. Like we're going to have like guideposts outside of us and maybe like people who reflect our light back to us and things like that, but there's no new like knowledge that you need, if that makes sense
Mhm.
at this time.
Yeah, I get like really excited about something. I'll like total deep dive and like go down the rabbit hole for like ever. And the last 3 years during my spiritual awakening, which I had a hard time even calling it that because when you said the dark witch, I used to play with Ouija boards when I was a kid. So I was just like that. I can see that. But I really started deep diving and going, okay, well, this thing isn't true, but it says this. And then I just go down these like rabbit holes and then rabbit hole. And then I'm like, I want to know more. 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 And it went on for so long that I would just get overwhelmed and stop for a while. And then I'd go back to it. And now I'm at a place where I'm like, I just want to work on keeping still, lowering my nervous system, and just being in the present moment because that's when I tend to get more of the downloads.
Yeah, that makes a
So
whole lot
that
of
makes sense.
sense. I think the stillness, calming the skies, calming the air.
Yeah, I was told I had an Ayurvedic practitioner tell me that I was very Vata, and I was like, yeah, that's true. But then she was like, where do you live is Vata? And I live in Tulsa, Oklahoma, and so Tornado Alley. And I'm like,
Mm.
oh gosh, there's just Vata all over the place. And she pointed out that my head was like that as well. And I was just like, okay, so calming the nervous system, getting getting present, getting grounded. Grounding is something that I've gotten better at, but I haven't been super great about it. So just making sure I'm going out in nature and being and not having all the distractions.
Yeah. Yeah, and the way I saw your inner goddess, like, she was under trees and, like, surrounded by herbs, so I wonder if I don't wanna say moving, but, like, making sure that you're spending in time in environments like that will be very, like, homecoming for you and grounding, um, because, yeah, like, being in the prairie, in the Midwest, and in Oklahoma, it is a lot of, um what's the word? It's like bare, there's not a lot of well, there's a lot of trees where I live, but, like, there's I think of Oklahoma as a
Pretty
little
sure.
more, like, dusty and barren in a way. Um,
Tulsa isn't so bad. There's like a hiking trail that's like kind of hilly that has tons of trees, and I like to go there.
nice. Yeah, that sounds like a good place for you. Great, Rashida, you wanna work
Awesome.
your way down?
Yeah, absolutely. So, next we came to your third eye, Robin, and I saw a physical eye, like one eye physical. It was pretty big. And the eye itself was like wandering and looking around like it was a bit confused. And so I asked your guide what that meant. And what she did was she put like 2 drops in your third eye. Your eye closed like in relief, like it was going to rest, and opened with more focus and clarity.
Ooh.
So when I sit with that and I think about it, it's almost like caring for caring for or doing some practices that will just I don't want to say focus on your third eye, but yes, in a way, focus on your third eye, but just kind of like ground you, bring you into center because you're getting and receiving a whole bunch and you kind of need to know what to do with it so it's not like going around and around in your mind. So really just I feel like the two drops, the number 2. I also got another number 2 later on in your reading. So there's something about the number 2 that is significant, and maybe as we go through the reading that it'll come up. But
Okay.
doing some maintenance almost is what I'm feeling like with your third eye to help you ground and get more clear and focused on what you're having come through. Um, and you even mentioned like taking so much stuff in or whatever the case may be and just being overwhelmed.
Hmm.
Like, yeah, I'm just feeling like maintenance is needed.
Okay. Any suggestions on just like either a daily, weekly practice?
None's coming to mind. Lauren, do you have anything that's coming to mind for you? And Robin, if I don't think of anything before the end of our reading, I will follow up with you.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, I'll go into mine. I do have some through the reading suggestions
Mm.
for support. So I'll I guess get to them as they come if that makes sense. So for the third eye, I saw it like powerful and clear, but underneath sort of a fog. And the
Mhm.
fog was really this lack of self-trust. But what I also saw was like, and now that you're speaking about Vata, maybe like something's off nutritionally for you
Mhm.
that's not allowing the mind to feel like totally calm and clear.
Mhm.
So there might be like tweaking that you need in your diet. And just from my small knowledge of Ayurveda, like things like root vegetables, anything that's like super hearty and grounding and nutritious can really help bring like that clarity and focus and calm and calm the vata. So I'm wondering, yeah, maybe if there's just a little bit of tweaking to do there, or, um, I don't know what you ingest in your life, and it's not really my business, but like,
Right.
yeah, if, maybe if you drink alcohol, it's time to take like a little bit of a break from that for a little bit, or I don't know, there's just something that maybe could be shifted a little bit, and I don't know what that is exactly.
Yeah,
Um,
I just started eating healthy, but like it's not consistent, and so like I feel like I should just, everyone wants everything immediate. Like I'm like, why isn't this going down the way like it would have when in my 20s? And I'm like, you're 40, Robin, calm down. So it's gonna take time. So that makes sense. I'm actually getting ready to make a pumpkin chili with throwing sweet potatoes in it, a vegan one, but like by the end of the day to eat on the week. So
Okay. That sounds like you're on the
yeah,
right track then.
that definitely resonates for sure.
Okay, cool. Um, and a little bit more with that will come up during the reading, just so you know. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Um, yeah, and I want to say too, like I'm personally, it's It's a little bit difficult for me to give that information because I'm really sensitive to it, like having a
Mhm.
background with eating disorders and stuff. Like I personally have no desire to tell somebody like what to eat or what they're ingesting is
Yeah.
wrong or off or anything like that, or to make any kind of like value judgment on it. But I did want to communicate with you that I'm seeing that there does need to be some sort of change in that way. But it looks like that's something you've already picked up on
Mhm.
and are doing. So I think that maybe it's just a sign to keep at it.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I grew up eating fast food. My mom, I love her to death, but she was not a cook, and we we ate out every single day, and that's been a habit all my life that I'm breaking right now. But some days are it's easy, and some days I'm just like, oh, I don't want to cook. I just want to eat
Mhm.
out, and then I go to it, and then I feel terrible after I do it.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Um, all right. Rashida, you want to move to throat?
Yeah, absolutely. So when I tapped into your throat chakra, I immediately grabbed, or I saw a vision of you immediately grabbing your throat with both of your hands. And then I got the sensation that something was trying to come through, but that there was a fear to let it out. And simply, like, and clear as day, it was like you were not fully expressed.
Hmm.
And with that, I had these questions that came like, what are you keeping tucked away and why? So feel free to answer them now, or maybe these are something that you can sit with. But that image, like immediately, it was almost like you were hiding something. Not like you were choking or anything, but like you were just hiding something and you did not want that to like come out. But what was ready to come out wanted to. But it
I
was
mean, there's nothing like specific, but I do hold back a lot in general. Like I was, I mean, you guys know me. I had a lot of trauma, and some of that was bullying. And so being my authentic self has always been a struggle, and I'm still learning who that person is. Um, But that does make sense because I couldn't understand why I was procrastinating getting things done. I'm like, oh, I want to do all this stuff with my career, but then I'm not showing up online like I should. And I know that's a lot of it's a fear thing of not being accepted, but I don't know what the actual message to get out is. So that's something that I'll definitely have to sit with. But I didn't even know who I was. And I'm still learning who I was. A couple of years ago, I realized I don't even know who I am. Like, what do I even like, other than what society has told me, because all my friends like, So, like, I'm still sitting in, I'm like, wait, I like art. Yeah, I never really cared to look into art prior to. So it's just kind of stuff like that. And it may be the poetry stuff that you and I talked about the other day. I'll have to sit and think about it and I'll follow up with you.
Yeah, definitely do that. And know that I got a message for you at the end of the reading that has something to do with what you just shared. So
Okay,
you'll
cool.
you'll like that. Lauren, what about you?
Yeah, the first thing that came up for me was the words witch wound. And I know we have a witchy theme going on with this
Yeah,
reading.
I feel like it's
Um,
October.
yeah, witch wound, and it felt scratchy, but basically what I saw was multiple past life traumas. So there have been multiple times in past lives where you have spoken your truth or been fully yourself and have been like killed for it. Um, and specifically, like there's trauma around the throat. And yeah, that's really scary. And then what you just shared of being bullied, in your younger life, in this lifetime, I can see how it would be that reminder again of like, it's not safe to be myself.
Yeah,
It makes me a target. So
yeah,
that can certainly lead
definitely.
you into like more of a people pleasing space. When we get down to your heart, we'll talk a
Yeah.
little bit more about this, where you're like kind of shape shifting
Hmm.
to
Fit
survive,
in.
and it makes total
Yeah,
sense, you know.
yeah,
Um, but as an adult, you are, and where you live now, and with being in 2023, unfortunately, not everyone is safe to speak their truth, but you are in
right.
probably the safest place that you've been in history to like be fully
Mhm.
expressed at this point.
That feels really good. Like that is really good to hear.
Yeah. Yeah. And just know, like, I can see why it would feel scary as hell.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like I was literally messaging the fear guy that was before we hopped on, and I was just like, he's like, "What's the next steps?" And I'm like, "I'm hopping on a podcast." That would have been really super uncomfortable prior to this past weekend. So, um, I feel like I'm heading in the right direction towards getting out of that space.
Awesome.
Good. Lauren, do you want to take over going into the heart, or would you like me to?
Now you can go ahead.
Okay. So when I tapped into your heart, Robin, I saw this vibrant green color, and the front of what I saw was like an actual physical heart. It was decorated ornately. It was beautiful. And so I just like asked your guide like what I needed to know. And she focused my attention on the back of your heart where there were two areas, almost holes. And your energy was like leaking out in vapors. So I went ahead and took some time to like heal them up for you. But, and based off of kind of like what I'm getting from the reading itself is you're presenting this really like decorated persona almost, and like kind of for 1 second, let me have this come through. It's not that I want to say that you're putting on a front, but what you're presenting is not your whole true self. And when you don't present the whole true self, even in the heart space, when you're giving and loving and sharing to others, there are things that are being left behind, and those holes are like the representation of areas in which you are forgetting yourself, that you are not being your most true self. And so, you know, even though like you can present in a way, like don't forget you and who you are. I'm not sure if that's making any sense and if anything
No,
is
makes
kind of coming to mind, but I just got this feeling of you're not faking. It's not a fake, it's not a front or anything like that, but don't forget like your trueness in a
sense.
way, because
Yeah.
doing that you're damaging yourself. And it's not so much like the leaking wasn't like pouring out. It was like these little wisp vapors that were just like leaving every so often. So yeah, that's what I
Interesting. So also when you said the whole things, I got chills because I have my heart will randomly like rapidly race. Like I'm pretty sure I have like a murmur or something. I was always told it was anxiety. Um, I had couple of spiritual people said you have a heart murmur, and then I had in my awakening a dream where I was stabbed in. It was a dream that I was stabbed in the chest, and it was like a past life. So when you said the whole that part, I was like, oh, she's
mm,
even saying that. But then when you said that message, even though it wasn't the same thing, like it makes sense because like I'm still learning who I am and how like with that throat, like I'm still learning how to express myself. And like literally I'm telling myself every day it's safe to be who you are. So like I do hold back a lot of what I'm thinking and feeling when I interact with people.
mm. Yeah, thank you for reflecting that back to me. What about you, Lauren?
Yeah, that's all really interesting. Um, what I saw was like a big and dynamic heart, meaning it like was moving and shifting, reshaping constantly. And what it shows is that you're really excellent at knowing what others in different situations need. Like you're able to
Mhm.
shift your heart as needed. But it was showing kind of to get to your next phase or next level, there needs to be more stability. Like you need to be emitting
Mhm.
your own frequency from your heart instead of
Mhm.
like shifting and changing to meet others. Um,
Mhm.
and that came into, that brought, I know you said something about a soulmate in your intake, that brought that up too. Like, I don't think you're going to find a soulmate until you're in that really stable vibration because
Mhm.
you're not really like emitting the frequency of like who you truly are just yet
Mhm.
because you're shifting for others, if that makes sense.
Mhm.
Um, I don't know practices exactly to get there other than just continuing to trust your heart and what
Mhm.
it's saying. And maybe that feels the same as your intuition. Maybe it feels a little bit different. You might tune into like, if you have a situation come up and you need to decide between two different outcomes, like really listening to your heart and feel like if it opens or if it
Mhm.
closes. And if it opens, that's telling you which way to go in that particular direction. I think that way you're like really tuning into your heart and its own needs rather than responding, I think, to whatever comes up. Um, Instead, it
Yeah.
becomes like this really important tool to guide you.
Yeah, I think the shifting was probably trauma's response to try just be able to survive. And
Hmm.
then it's just become a habitual habit that I've done because I think I've always done that, tried to fit in, try to shift for whoever I'm around. Like I was telling one of my girlfriends this weekend, I was like, yeah, with some people I'm one way and other people I'm another. And I don't, it's like unconsciously that I do that.
Yeah, it kind of reminds me, you were saying at the beginning of this that you are an empath. And I think that being an empath and being intuitive are two different things. Personally, I've never
Mhm.
actually said this before, but being empathic, it is like a trauma response because you are being you have your senses so open to be able to like sense danger around you essentially, and that becomes like the empathic response, I think, over time, just being like super attuned to other people, which can be a huge skill. But intuition comes from like your own soul, and it's not really about others. Like it can affect others, of course, but it's really about like tuning into your own frequency and responding from that, just like we were talking about with the heart. So I think like you have it in you. It's more about like shifting to that, being really more like self-centered, rather than other-centered. And that doesn't mean don't serve. It just means like
Right.
know who you are, which is like spirit and soul.
That's funny you said that. I advised someone I was doing a free consultation with, and I was like, being selfish is not selfless. You can be it's actually selfless to be self-centered or selfish, not self-centered. And she just looked stunned because the girl I was working with was a people pleaser, and I was like, hear me out. As a people pleaser, can't fill your cup if it's empty, and fill others. You can't fill other people's cup if it's empty. And so that totally makes sense. And like I said, I'm still, growing into this, but I appreciate this so much because that actually kind of gives me guidance on what my next steps are, even just sitting in stillness and meditations and how I interact with people. So that completely makes sense.
I'm glad that resonates. Yeah. Should we move down?
Okay. Yeah, let's go into the solar plexus. So what I got for you was very direct. Immediately when I tapped into this area, um, your energy just began to do this like rocking thing, and you started like breathing deeply, and like immediately I just got she's stoking her fire. Um, so it's a call for you to like start stoking your internal fire, like really activating your solar plexus. I didn't get anything outside of that. And the only guidance I got was that you need to start activating this area, your confidence, saying affirmations to yourself in the morning, and really like maybe even like burning like an incense that is supposed to be activating with the solar plexus, well, like just really focusing in and tapping into that. And I got this feeling that if you do this, if you get this like fire going, like it'll help burn away all the things that are blocking the
Oh, okay.
upper chakras.
So when you said solar plexus, the voice in my head said, here we go." And so that's why I laughed when you first started saying, because but yeah, I like when I went to Bali, I grabbed a volcanic rock, and I have one for like three of my bedrooms. And so and I do incense every single day, so I'll look in to see
Mm.
what incense invokes that. So yeah, and right before you start talking, I did this, and I was just like, okay, she really tapped in on that. So that's super cool.
Oh, great. I'm glad you're like, yeah, I know. I got How about you, Lauren? What did you get for Robin's solar plexus?
I saw kind of a funny visual. So have you ever like, okay, you know when you have a light on in your room and a fan going at the same time, and you can maybe look at
Mhm,
the wall and see the light, but then you see like the shadows of the fan passing and passing and passing. So the light
mhm,
kind of, I don't know, that's what I saw. And I was seeing a practice to like kind of slow the fan down because the fan is like these regular intervals of self-doubt that come up. So
mhm,
it's like they come to sabotage this light in a way, over and over. So I saw you like breathing deeply and slowly to slow the fan. So instead of practices like breath of fire, for instance, which are fast and
mhm,
quick, I saw you slowing it down quite a bit. Deep belly
Okay.
breathing.
Yeah, and when I
Sorry,
do
Jem
breath
is
of
whining
fire,
right now.
okay, okay.
Go ahead.
And when I do breath of fire, it feels like too much. It doesn't resonate with me, so that makes sense. Like slow breaths, I tend to like better, unless I'm wanting to do a big release.
Yeah, I definitely see that for you. Just more grounding breaths. Rashida, while I deal with the kid, I'll have you go ahead and go down to the sacral.
Sounds good. Okay, Robin. So when I tapped into your sacral chakra, I got this image of you having oil drip down your body, like starting at your head and coming down. And I immediately had this like feeling of suppleness, of turn on, of pleasure. And I just began like touching my face and lips and like grabbing my hair. That was the sensations that were coming to you. And it felt so good. So I think what this is calling for is for you to like tap into this side of
Okay.
you for you and to sit in this energy. Do you have a practice where one, you're just honoring the sensual side of yourself, just enjoying yourself for the pleasure of enjoying yourself?
No, and I literally just had this conversation with my friend Corey, who stayed at our house. She was talking about this, and we were at the event. They were talking about it, and I was like, I've never thought about doing that, like touching yourself and because I always thought like embracing your body for where it is in life, and it doesn't have to be perfect. It's just accepting it and saying affirmations, and that's all I've been doing. And so, like, this has just been an up level that I just realized literally like 1 to 2 days, maybe yesterday. Like it's very like, oh, okay, we could do that. I know we did an RGG. I think it was the Valentine's Day one where it was like the breast massage.
Mm-hmm.
Like I was on that call a lot, like halfway in, and I got really uncomfortable and stopped. And then I was like, oh, I'll go back to it. And then I never did.
What
And so,
about that
like,
made you uncomfortable?
my entire life, like, it was like a bad thing to be attention, like, Lauren, you know this, being brought up Christian, and then my mom's insecurities and projections. And I just had this, like, for some reason, this unconscious belief that, if I show out, like something bad might happen. I don't know. Like I did have had some stalkers when I was younger, so maybe that's where it stems from. I just literally like sexually have shut down, and it's not who I am, and I know I'm aware of that. And so it's kind of like a frustration of
Mm.
mine because I really didn't know where to begin to like feel like a sexy confidence, not just like confidence in general, but like really embracing that side of me. So like really, learning and the touching and stuff like that, that absolutely resonates with me on a practice to start.
Yeah, absolutely. And you also had, mentioned in your questions about like your soulmate, and if I feel like when we're tapping into these parts of ourselves, we're emitting a certain frequency and a certain energy. And if this is closed off, and let's
Mhm.
say your partner is like wanting their partner to be like fully in their power and turned on, that's might not be why y'all haven't met each other yet, because
Yeah.
this is something that you have to work on to like really start emitting that and putting that out there. Like you can
Mhm.
just tell when there's like a woman that's like turned on and just like activated, and not so much like what you see, but it's like this vibe,
The
this
energy.
vibrance or energy that they give off.
Mhm.
And if you're a bit closed, you're not going to attract who you're wanting to manifest either yet, because this is the work that you have to do for yourself. And it's not so
Mhm.
much, and I want to like stress that this is for you. This is not for anybody else.
Mhm.
This is not so that you can get your man or whatever the case may be,
No,
but
no.
it's like getting in touch with that side of yourself is almost like going to up level who you are and like what you're also trying to present. We spoke about still trying to figure it out, what it is you want to do, how you want to share, and all the things. Like, this is a part of you. You're like your sensuality, your sexuality, your creativity,
Mhm.
all of that needs to come online so that you can be fully expressed. And if this
Mhm.
aspect of you've kind of like put in a box, like, you're not going to be your 100% fully expressed self. So
Mhm.
I would suggest, if it's not trauma related,
Mhm.
you could do this on your own, but sit in the uncomfortableness. Like, when you sit there and like just maybe feel on your cheek or like on your lips, or like, just stroking your neck and your chest, like, what about that makes you feel uncomfortable? And how can you like observe that uncomfortableness and then lean
Mhm.
into it and like eventually like transmute it into you, like just your pleasure, and not a pleasure for the
Mhm.
sake of like an ending, but just like to be in the
Yeah.
pleasure of yourself. Like, we are in these bodies for a reason. And I know a lot of times when we get into these spaces, it's, let's sit in silence, let's ascend, let's go up, up,
Mhm.
up. But like really like dropping down into your body, feeling it, being here with it, not like shaming it or anything like that, and not just accepting it, but like truly being with yourself. And I think if you develop a practice like that and really like lean into the discomfort, there'll be things that you're going to find out about yourself that you may not have known that you might be holding on to still, and what might be
Mhm.
holding you back from like actually moving fully forward in your power.
That absolutely resonates because, like, when you're just sitting there and you're like, without guidance, like for me, exactly, like I'm like, I don't really know what to do, but I know this isn't right. I know I shouldn't be blocked there. And so I
Mm.
dance at home and I move my body, and I actually can move my body a lot better than I used to because like that it was. I feel like it's opened up a tiny bit, but I 100% resonate with that. And it's not that I need a man. It's just that I want to be in a relationship, but then I'm like, I'm cool being alone. I don't need it that bad. And so then I put it off because then I'm like the uncomfortability of it. So
Yeah.
that resonates and completely makes sense because like it's not, I don't, it can take, I know this is a marathon, getting to be your best self, your highest self. Um, so just doing the uncomfortability, but do have that habit of like, I don't want to do this. This feels weird. I'm just gonna stop. And so I appreciate you talking about just leaning in and going through it, even if it feels uncomfortable until it doesn't anymore.
Yeah. And then even ask yourself in the moment, okay, like, I mean, I'm not crazy or anything, but I talk to myself and I'll say, Rashida, what is it about? Like, I will coach myself in
Mhm.
moments and like give myself honest answers, like just whatever comes to mind. And sometimes it shocks me, like what I say to myself about why I might be uncomfortable in a certain situation, or why I might have thought something or felt a certain type of way about something. So, really get in the
Mhm.
habit of doing that and having that conversation with yourself as well.
I love that. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Robin, I want to ask, have you ever had a regular yoga practice before?
I've done a class that's kind of like yin yoga called Surrender. Um, And then I had a shoulder when I wanted to start getting into yoga last year. My shoulder injury prevented me to doing regular yoga, and I've been doing Pilates for the last year, a little over a year, and I now feel like it's strong enough to get into it. But It's always been a struggle. I love when I'm in yoga, but like when I'm doing the moves, it's my whole body is like wound up and tight, and it's really a struggle for me. But I know you have to sit in that comfortability for those tight muscles to loosen up.
Okay. Yeah, I'm asking because I think that the practices Rashida suggested will be really, really helpful. And I think that having a more structured practice within community and with guidance would also be
Hmm.
really good for you.
Okay.
And one of the reasons I asked too is because, so before we hit record on this today, I led us through a little meditation. And the first thing that I felt called to do was tune into your proprioception, which is like knowing where your body is in space, and then your
Mm.
interoception, which is like knowing what's going on inside. And I think something for me is I've just felt this disconnect from the body, and especially if you're really vata, that can be part of that. Um, so having like I would go for more of like a hatha yoga class, not a vinyasa, something that's like
Okay.
kind of strong and structured where you're holding poses for a while, where you have the
Okay.
chance to really like drop in and observe um,
Okay.
under good guidance, because there's a lot of yoga out there. It's not all
Hmm.
great, to be honest, or it's maybe not all like completely aligned for what you're needing at the time. But if you do this regularly, it gives you this chance to be like, curious about what's going on in your
Hmm.
body from day to day. Like, okay, my hips feel really tight. That might be because like I've been walking a lot or sitting a lot lately. But also, like when I came into pigeon pose today, I just wanted to cry. Like, what is that about? What am I
Hmm.
holding on to on my hips right now? Or like when we were doing this heart
Ew,
opening
okay.
pose, it felt really uncomfortable. That's interesting. Why did it feel uncomfortable? I love yoga because it, especially something that's a little slower. Not, I would say not yin. I think you need something that's strength building, like Pilates is,
Okay.
but not fast. If that makes sense,
Okay.
Yeah.
because that's going to like bring the
Slowly down.
confidence as well.
Okay.
But having this opportunity to like revisit the postures and with curiosity and see what's going on, and you don't have to force it. Like I don't always need to
Hmm.
know why pigeon made me cry today, but I think like it just gives you this really structured avenue for this exploration that like I think having that and dancing at home is great, but I don't
Hmm.
know if dancing at home is going to have the same opportunity that
Hmm.
a yoga class would, because in yoga you're going to do things that you probably wouldn't have done yourself or wanted to do,
Hmm.
because you're not
Yeah.
always leaning into
Yeah.
what feels good. Like definitely shouldn't hurt yourself or like push, but like you're going to be like, well, I hate chair pose, but I'm going to do it and I'm going to sit in it and I'm going to see how it feels today. You know,
Okay.
um, I feel like I digressed a little bit from from what I got from your sacral, but I just wanted to share that because it was coming through. I think as like as the masculine side to to what Rashida was sharing, because I think both will help. And the reason I brought up the proprioception and interoception is because yoga can certainly increase that, and that also heals your nervous system.
Mm.
Um, because I think you're one, like I can see you guiding breath and like really being in your breath practice, but there needs to be that body practice too,
Hmm.
to like fully address what's happening. And that means movement, that means nutrition, that means time in nature. We'll get to all that with the root, but I'm seeing that as like almost a missing piece in a way. Um,
Thank you for acknowledging that I don't have to know why, because whenever I have something come up, I feel like I want to deep dive and find out why do I feel that way? Where's this cause? I feel this way because of this. And so for you to just like saying that acknowledgement is like a great reminder that just because an emotion comes up doesn't mean you need to have the memory of it.
mhm. Yeah, and it's okay to feel it and let it go, or maybe it'll come up again. It might take a long time to really get into it, but it
Hmm.
gives you that opportunity to do so. Real quickly, I think I'll go into sacral en route. Is that okay with you, Rashida? Um, so for sacral, yeah, I saw like a stagnancy there, like something's not moving, and I saw a real
Hmm.
need for womb healing. So I don't
Hmm.
know what your history is with your cycle or your womb, but it sounds like you could use some gentle support That means
Mhm.
trauma release. That also means, I don't know how gentle that is necessarily, but I was seeing support from herbs specifically,
Okay.
like herbs, potions, tinctures, like really calling back your inner goddess energy.
Okay.
There might be like
Okay.
an herbalist near you, or somebody who's
Mhm.
able to help support in that way, or maybe even just going on to the like the Anima Mundi website or something like that and seeing if they have
Yeah, I
like
was thinking
a
that. I was like, I wonder if she has some.
maybe, I don't know, but it might be worth looking into. I'm seeing that that is an avenue that you could really lean into on your healing journey. Um,
Mhm.
and like I said, there's a lot. You've learned a lot in the last 3 years, so there's no need to rush it necessarily. I would
Yeah.
maybe see what works for you right now as far as like what you're
Mhm.
intaking, but I can also see you like working with that on a professional level eventually. And I think it would bring a really nice balance to like the upper chakra stuff is like what medicine does the earth have for us?
Mm.
I love that. I'm hoping to see how I evolve. I haven't really like getting herbs and like I never really took supplements that much growing up, other than like a Flintstones vitamin,
Mhm.
and so the herbals and natural homeopathic stuff is still fairly new to me, other than the last couple of years. So it isn't out of the realm of what I could go into. I haven't dabbled in it yet. Right now, I'm just keeping my plants alive at home, and that makes me happy. Like my plant Glenn almost died when I was in Bali, and Glenn is making it. He's starting to thrive finally. So I'm like getting them lush, and then I would be more open because I've tried basil, and I know that's not what we're talking about, but my basil plant always ends up dying. So I like the idea of having herbs and just getting to getting them to thrive, and baby steps.
Yeah.
But I could, once I feel my plants are doing good, I could see myself going that direction.
Yeah. Well, and I think at this point it's fine just to buy the tinctures or whatever from somebody else
Yeah.
or the powders
Yeah.
or whatever it is. And, maybe growing herbs is something down the line. I'll move to
Yeah.
your root chakra. So what it's funny, Rashida said the number 2 was coming up a lot for her, and I'm going to like share what I see with that because it came
Mhm.
up for your root. I think the trauma from your past lives that we talked about earlier and from this life have caused like a split in you almost, where there's almost these two sides.
Mhm.
And so I think the trauma is what's showing up in the root, and they need to be integrated to for you to feel fully safe and whole and to like become that inner goddess we were talking about who like wields the light
Mhm.
and shadow with equal skill and equal like love, I think, and compassion for them.
Mhm.
So I don't know like for you what this looks like just on a practical level in your daily life, but it might mean like embracing the things that you feel a little bit ashamed of or that you like
Mhm.
feel a little bit scared of showing about yourself. It might be like fully loving that and taking that on. Maybe it's loving on the parts of yourself that you have like pushed down or felt ashamed of. Maybe
Mhm.
like it's you're eating like perfectly healthy one day and then you're indulging the next. Maybe there needs to be a little mix of the two every single day.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? Just on like a very
Mhm.
practical level.
Yeah.
Um, maybe like you eat the healthy dinner and have the glass of wine or, whatever it might be. Or like, yeah, I don't know, get the ice cream or whatever um, that
Yeah,
looks
ice
like for
cream.
you.
I love ice cream. My gut doesn't.
Hmm.
And I still eat it, and I'm like, I shouldn't have that. So just embrace it, and not worry about it. Just enjoy life and not go excessive.
Well, yeah, and maybe it looks like learning to make your own ice cream that doesn't upset your stomach, or
Mhm.
getting coconut milk ice cream. Like
Yeah.
maybe there's like a gentler way to go about it that still like satisfies that pleasure seeking side of yourself, because that's what the ice cream is, right? That's what Rashida's talking about,
Mhm.
like leaning into that side of yourself. And maybe there's other
Mhm.
ways to like satisfy that craving, but ice cream certainly can be one of them. It just maybe shouldn't be the only one.
Yeah. Yeah.
um,
Yeah.
so Yeah, that's what I see, like, just more integration, more, like, embracing, not needing to be perfect, not needing to
Mhm.
present any specific way, but to just really be, like, unapologetically yourself, and I think that by embracing that, it'll keep you from, like, fully leaning into, like, maybe the you that's just not gonna take care of yourself or, like,
Mhm.
that's saying "F it" or whatever. Um, it's gonna just feel, like, probably more sensual, present, beautiful,
Mhm.
like Rashida said, we descend. So like we're gonna love connecting and opening to the crown. We're gonna love like indulging in our pleasure and connecting with the earth. It's all the things. That's who the witch is.
Mhm.
She's like connected to it all. Um, so I really see that for you. And just any last messages from her, I asked. She said, remember who we are. We are powerful. We laugh, dance, and cry with the moon. I know that didn't come up in the reading, but that seemed really important to really honor the cycles of the moon and
Mhm.
yourself. Magic is inside us and is us. Embody me. She also says, release what numbs and find gentle herbal support. So that was like the practical advice at the end. So release what numbs. So
Mhm.
is the ice cream for pleasure or is it to numb?
Numbing,
You
usually.
know? So
Mhm.
like how do we change the way we use it, right? Like what
Mhm.
magic is needed there. Yeah, and the gentle herbal support. I think to heal the gut and the womb.
Okay. That all meant that all makes sense. Like, thank you so much. Like,
Mm.
this was wonderful.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll
Yeah.
pass it on to Rashida.
Yeah. I'm glad you had a lot of guidance around the root, Lauren, because the biggest message that I got is like you just need to nourish your root a little bit more. I got these images of this tree all alone and like on dry, cracked earth. And I was like, I don't know what that means. And then the next image I got was a baby and their legs were being massaged and those are her roots. So and then like I saw this like your ruby red color of your energy center, but it was just like sparking occasionally. So,
Mhm.
like, feel into like your root space, your security, like what may be coming up, and then just show that area a little love. I know Lauren gave a lot of suggestions, so I'm not going to throw that on there because I think she was really, really thorough. But that's really all I got for your root was that you just need a little bit of nourishment in this energetic center. And when I was wrapping up, I asked your guide, was there any message that she had for you? And she said, it's always in the pursuit of becoming when you find who you are.
Hmm.
So that was what she left me with for you.
Thank you, guys. This was wonderful, and it was exactly what I needed to hear. So I really, really appreciate this. Like everything resonated. Not sure on the dry, cracked roots, but I definitely needed. I took the message as I need to, give some love to my root chakra.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And I know like you technically get like two readings in one, but it's really cool how they play off of each other. If you can think of
Yeah.
like maybe two takeaways, what your biggest takeaways are from this.
Um, trust was a big, big theme. Leaning into continuing to trust myself and believe in what I have is real, what's coming in is real, and not second guess it. Um, like there was so much. I'm trying to think of everything. There's like everything. Like I'm probably gonna re-listen to this to like go back to it. The sensuality thing, leaning into the uncomfortability and not having to go down the rabbit holes to have all the information. Um, like I always want to know. I have a Virgo moon, so I feel like there's a part of me that always wants to know the information if it's something I'm fascinated about. So just like sitting with that uncomfortability and the emotion, and then like I said, the emotion. Well, why am I crying? Like where did this stem from? I don't need to know that. I just need to sit through it. And so like, you guys acknowledging everything that you're seeing and, like even the nutrition part, everything really resonated. Sorry, I feel like I'm going all over the place, but like going from the crown chakra to the third eye to the throat, the heart, everything made sense from the get go, and just leaning into who I am. There's a part of me that's like, I know who I am. I like this and that, and then there's a part of me like, do you really know who you are? So,
Mhm.
so still trying to get to know myself and taking it slower and not getting frustrated is like a take back just for me. It's okay to slow things down and just be still and trusting myself.
Thank you for reflecting that back. I feel complete. Lauren, how do you feel?
I do too. And I just want to encourage you on this journey of like getting to know yourself outside of the programming and outside of like other people's expectations. And something that I just saw is like, truly getting to know yourself as far as like what you like and dislike. It's kind of a moving target because we
Hmm.
all change. That's our nature.
Right.
So anything that really connects you to your soul um,
Hmm.
is going to be your like uh, your northern star, right? Like
Hmm.
that's what's going to lead you on the aligned path. Um, and along the way, you can have a lot of fun with I like this, I don't like this, and I get to change my mind whenever I want.
Exactly, exactly. This has been just incredible, and I am so grateful for you too. Thank you so much.
Yeah, we're grateful for you too,
Um,
Robin. We're so happy to be of service. Rashida, you are amazing as always, and thank you for showing up so tired today.
yeah.
Oh, I tried to like not show, but thank you for seeing me. But this lights me up and I get energy from doing this. So I appreciate
Yeah.
that. And Lauren, your wisdom, and Robin, like, thank you for letting us read your energy. This has been really inspiring.
Thank you so much for joining us for this incredible episode. If you loved it, don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and tell all your besties about us.
You can also connect with us on Instagram at Your Spiritual Besties Podcast. And be sure to say hello and share your thoughts about the episode. Love you, bestie. Talk soon.